Debussy.
Clair De Lune, that's a great song. Thoughts? Are you pro Clair De Lune?
I'm very pro Clair De Lune, although I have to say, drives me crazy. Like that's the only song that he ever wrote. Man, you as a musician should know. Like, if you were not a one-hit wonder, but you were like only for like the next 1,000 years only played Clair De Lune in his catalog of extraordinary songs. God,
pretty okay hit.
Yeah, pretty okay hit, but probably not even like his best. Most accessible.
Yeah, exactly.
But not his best.
Most accessible.
It'd be kind of like Empire Strikes Back versus Return of the Jedi in the sense that one is really awesome and then one was just sort of, whatever. It had a totally different thing going on.
Are you comparing Clair De Lune to Return of the Jedi?
No, I am. Yes, I am. I am doing that. I am saying that Clair De Lune is Debussy's Return of the Jedi.
That's how we're actually opening the pod.
Right on.
Coming to you live from an undisclosed location in Brisbane, Australia. It's the Film Dogs.
Happy season 2. Welcome to Film Dogs. Hey, how you doing?
Well, I'm stoked to be back after a substantial break
we were hiatus coyote.
Well, if you didn't say it, I was going to say it that way. So I'm glad that you said it that way. Hiatus coyote. We didn't retool the pod, but we did have to envision season 2. We did have to take care of life as well, because we are humans that have lives outside of this pod.
And we had to watch some movies.
That's correct, which is why we are here tonight. BIFF, Brisbane International Film Festival 2024, which is actually our second year. We were there opening night 2023 on Halloween when we watched Late Night with the Devil premiere with filmmakers as well. That was a great night. And we had to recreate it this year. And what film opened Saturday night? Which can we talk about Saturday night premiere?
Yeah, totally.
And us arriving to the venue, Palace Barracks in Brisbane.
Do you want to set the stage, or it's probably better that I take ownership of how this evening went. So, the first year that we went, I just thought it was going to be a really nice birthday present to get from Mr. B. And I'd never been to a film festival, and we had no idea what to expect. And largely, I guess in some ways, it's not that much different than going to a movie, except that you have early access to a screening. But anyway, so we had such a good time in 2023. We're definitely going 2024.
Double feature as well. Late Night with the Devil premiere for Brisbane with local directors, because it was an Australian produced film, and a double feature with Indiana Bell and Josiah Allen's You'll Never Find Me.
Yeah, but I'm saying for this year, how the opening evening went, I was sort of going through my booking process. So last year, it being, I don't think that in 2023 we were there for opening night. We were definitely there for Halloween, but I think we might have missed a couple of days before that. Yeah. Because I had no idea of the kind of opening night activities that were in store. All I wanted to do was attend opening night, because I was very interested in seeing this film about the premiere of Saturday Night Live called Saturday Night by Jason Reitman. Yep. I was just stoked to do that. So I ordered the tickets. And it did come back as kind of pricey, which I just thought that was sort of the price to be paid for an opening night festival. I thought that was sort of like our way of contributing to the art scene. But that's not actually what happened, because I didn't read. Why would I read this long list of like a movie description or anything.
Yeah.
I wanted to see the movie. I booked the tickets.
Yeah.
The price was kind of high. I assumed that it was because it was Brisbane Film Festival.
You're not a millennial.
Yeah, and it was going towards some sort of charity or something.
Yeah.
And so when we got there, that now I'll turn it over to Mr. B, but I would take complete ownership that I did not read the fine print or the large print at all. I just booked the tickets.
Well, I mean, if we read the fine print upon arrival, wearing Film Dog's regalia, which we will, this will be the photo of the pod. We will post for reference so people can see. We rocked up to a red carpet and to a room full of people in dresses and suits.
Tuxedos even.
Yeah, and we were wearing our Film Dogs merch. And I was wearing a Film Dogs... was I wearing my Film Dogs hat as well?
A24 hat.
My A24 hat. And
thongs.
Yeah, and thongs. You were in board shorts.
Yeah.
Like we were the most Aussie...
but
not Aussie because we're Americans. And but do you know what my favorite thing of the night was our photos on the carpet, because I remember we walked into the room and we had that kind of moment come across us going, what did we just show up to? And you just said, I probably should have read that email. And then I went, because there's two ways we can go. We can either allow this to be awkward and kind of be awkward in our bodies. And instead I was like, no, dude, we are the most memorable people at this event tonight because we are literally wearing our own merch and wearing our recording equipment. And we're at a film festival. And I go, we looked around the room and I go,
and
we stuck out, call us the sore thumb, but I'm confident in my male sexuality.
Well, we definitely entered the scene and enjoyed what we paid for it. I just wish that we had known that a little bit prior.
Well, that's why next year's we'll probably show up wearing the orange and blue suits from Dumb and Dumber.
Oh man, I want to go
top hats.
I want to do the Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas duo.
Okay, never mind. Yeah, we'll do that. And then third year, we'll have to have a theme, I guess, every year. Because like 1 year could be
Natural Born Killers.
Natural Born Killers. Is there a way that we could show up in a Robert Eggers setup, or there needs to be some lore, I guess, every year that we do something, other famous outfits.
Dude, yeah. If anybody has some ideas on where we should go to find authentic lighthouse vintage gear that looks the part, what would even be better is if we actually got what Pattinson and Defoe
or if you're from British Columbia or Manitoba and you make homewares.
We could probably just go we could probably go chimney diving in our regular clothes, and that would do the trick. You scabby.
Mm. You don't like me, lobster?
Good times.
Opening night, BIFF 2024, Saturday night. Like you said, Jason Reitman, who's did you like Juno?
I did. Here's the thing. I think I liked Juno because I was trying to expand my interests and my sort of philosophy. And it was about the time when that came out that, I was more interested maybe in the female perspective. I was more interested in the intellectual perspective. I think I was just trying to start examining life a little bit outside of what my comfort zone up to that point was.
Yeah.
And I thought that was sort of representative of the time, and I still do. I enjoyed it. I'm not doing cartwheels over it. I liked it.
No cartwheels.
No cartwheels for Juno.
Yeah, he did 2021's Ghostbusters, which I didn't see. Did you see that one?
Negative.
Negatory.
Nope.
Nothing against that, but I was a fan of Thank You for Smoking.
I loved Thank You for Smoking.
So he's not new to the game. He knows how to write and direct and entertain. Quite broad spectrum of movies that he's made. And like you said, it chronicles the leading up to the 90 minutes leading up to the first broadcast of Saturday Night Live.
Which I don't really want to do any spoilers at this moment, because one of the nice things about going to a film festival is the early release.
Yeah.
So if anybody's listening to this, these movies might not even be available to you for a month or maybe even longer on some of them, if ever. So I'd just like to sort of touch on maybe what our thoughts were. I was really impressed. I had listened to a very famous critic from Toronto, and he said that he did not enjoy Saturday Night.
Interesting.
Very much. Mr. Adam Naiman. I was like, oh man, he's like, sometimes I really agree with him and sometimes I don't.
Yeah.
And I was just sort of trying to keep my expectations realistic. I was really impressed with it. I laughed a lot. It was super entertaining. I thought the casting was just fantastic. Besides the fiasco of, sort of being all Australian chill and at prom night for the adults, I've like really enjoyed the movie like a lot. And I really have to say the casting was what made it for me, and the people. I can't say enough about what I really thought was that this was a craftsman's movie. That could have gone horribly wrong.
Well, what he kind of even pulled together cast-wise is, to be honest, if I look at the list, it's really more of a B list, maybe B minus list, actor list, but it was so well put together that they worked really well together. We had Gabriel LaBelle playing Lorne Michaels, Rachel Sennett playing Rosie Schuster, his partner. I really liked Cooper Hoffman in it as well.
He had I thought he was sort of underutilized, but I'll tell you who I loved, Corey Michael Smith as Chevy Chase.
He did great.
He was, he played the Riddler in the Batman sort of offshoot series of Gotham.
Mm.
Man, he was kind of good and creepy in that, but this one, man, he pulled off Chevy Chase so wonderful.
Yeah, we also had Lamorne Morris as well. You'd know from a couple movies, but also he's done TV as well. He played Garrett Morris's character, and then we really had a great visit from Willem Dafoe.
Yes, very great. That was a pleasant surprise.
The glasses,
I had no idea that he was going to be in it.
The glasses he wears, perfect.
And my shout out goes to Nicholas Braun from Succession. He played two roles, which was so, I guess, sort of meta in the sense that,
yes,
in the way that Saturday Night Live would have multiple people play multiple roles. But he played Andy Kaufman and Jim Henson, and I think he stole his scenes. I enjoyed. I can't say enough. I think the acting is worth the price of admission on this one.
Yeah,
if you're not
even the writing.
Well, the writing was clever and it was good, and I just thought it was this huge lo-fi buzz of really great acting. Like these people, I just imagine they had a really good time making this film. That really shone through. It all takes place within 2 to 3 hours, and I can't say enough about it. I really recommend it.
They did well at encapsulating the stress of putting together something like Saturday Night Live, of all the moving parts of it actually being live on, is this going to air, of this being a new show that they're trying to get the network to give a thumbs up to. But also, if you've ever been in any sort of performance roles in any sort of way, if you ever acted in a amateur role, if you've ever been in local theater, or if you played in high school theater, or if you're a musician, it really brought the stress of leading up to a performance so well to where you really get lost in it, because you're kind of going, oh man, it's about to happen. Is this going to happen or not? And do you think someone who is not a Saturday Night Live fan could get into this film?
I think that a cinephile could.
Okay.
Now, here's the thing, like that's really a little harder for me to differentiate because I grew up with Saturday Night Live.
Yeah.
And
we're different generations, but that's why I think it's an interesting conversation.
But that was still before, that was before my Saturday Night Live experiences. And so, I still got into it, but I was a huge Saturday Night Live person. through adolescence and my 20s and, essentially probably half of my 30s. Like I was a pretty regular viewer. So, but to see it from the historical perspective, I found really interesting. But that's like, this movie was very sort of punk rock in the sense that I felt like the actors, even if they looked angry, they like, you could tell that the person, the actor was having such a good time playing the parts. It was just a really good, fun film. Went with 4 stars for the subject material. Not really my kind of normal brand, but I thought it was executed really well. Yeah, like just good, solid outing from Mr. Reitman.
That's where I ended up with as well, was 4 stars on it. And same thing as like I grew up with Saturday Night Live, but like I said, from different generations, so I was probably more of the Will Ferrell era.
Oh yeah, I was thinking this today.
But at the same time, I did respect like the 70s and 80s stuff. So I'm aware of the actors and films and everything that they did. But and Saturday Night Live classic skits. But I obviously did not watch it back then. But it was good to kind of see the whole, them trying to recreate that cast together in one spot, as opposed to seeing Chevy Chase doing Chevy Chase movies.
But let me ask you this. Do you think that Jason Reitman could do a sequel and it would be 10 years later or 20 years later when
100%,
when Will Ferrell was like during those peak years?
100%.
Who do you think they would cast as Will Ferrell? Man, that would be crazy. It'd have to be an unknown. Like, there's nobody currently that was great
that's
about
why
this.
I respected,
television actors.
I think that's where people are missing the mark on. It's getting pretty good marks on Letterboxd if you use that as a guide of maybe public opinion, or not even public opinion, of cinephile opinion, or people who appreciate movies.
Enthusiasts, a little more than just an average goer.
Yeah, but because the comedy is fantastic. The jokes written in the movie is hilarious. So if you are somebody who does not really care about Saturday Night Live, but is aware of it as a pop culture reference, you'll probably find the movie funny still.
Yeah, totally. Like the jokes are great.
Yeah, you didn't even need to know the characters playing who if you didn't watch Saturday Night Live from the 70s or 80s, or know that that's where Chevy Chase came from, or I mean, the amount of people that came out of Saturday Night Live to be our movie stars. Yeah, the list goes on.
And on.
And on.
And on.
Let's maybe jump to, I saw interesting opening night to BIFF.
Yeah.
2024.
Very surreal. But I wouldn't have it any other way.
I wouldn't have it any other way until next year.
We could show up as Snoop Dogg and Dr. Dre.
Yeah, we can't show up as Diddy. Pop culture reference.
Okay, so let's move on to film number 2 from BIFF 2024.
Excellent. I'll let you bring us into this film.
All right. Imagine that you are transported overseas to the very western wilderness of China. The movie we saw next, film number 2, at the wonderful Angelica Theaters in Wollongabba.
Yeah, a lot cheaper parking.
Oh my goodness, that's a whole different scenario. Good parking prices at Angelica Theater. Was Black Dog by the director Guan Hu, and I've not seen any of his other films. This really sort of struck me out when we were going through the film schedule. First off, as film dogs, of course, we probably have affinity for dogs.
Woof.
Woof. And
shout out to our film dogs, Huxley and Indigo.
Yeah. And so that just sort of drew my interest a little bit more. And then I looked at the poster and it had a picture of a dog in the sidecar of a motorcycle. And I was like, you know what? And this past year, I've really gotten into foreign films. Like really, really, like it's almost all that I really want to watch these days.
And props to you for that.
And so I was like, okay, this looks interesting. Sort of our honorary film dog, Sam Runham, also loves dogs. It's like,
AKA
all right,
Dr. Sam.
Dr. Sam, we can...
AKA Frank Zappa.
Junior.
The Zap.
Yeah. This kid looks exactly like Frank Zappa. It's uncanny. But so he loves dogs. We wanted to get him out and take him out to the movies for the night.
Yeah.
We wanted something. So last year we took him to see Poor Things, and I think he probably enjoyed Poor Things a little more than he did.
Yeah, great film.
The Old Black Dog, but this one was really good. This movie is about a person that gets out of prison, and he's still a young man, and he goes back to his hometown, and he's sort of a little famous / notorious for being a stunt motorcycle driver. And there's a problem in this town of wild dogs.
Yeah.
And, well, not really wild dogs, but wild dogs, not vicious wild dogs, but they're just these packs of dogs that have been sort of left behind by what happens during gentrification or urbanization, or like they tackle a lot of themes.
Yeah, they're on the edge of the Gobi Desert in northwest China.
And so it's about this, ex-con coming home and sort of having a reckoning and forming a relationship with one of the dogs and this wild pack of dogs. It was so extraordinarily beautiful. I mean, I can't say enough about it. It was really personal. I could see, like, I wouldn't argue with someone about it. Like, if you don't like foreign films, and it's a little bit of a slow burn, but all these things are things that I really love. And the actor was so good.
Yeah.
And the director was so good. And the cinematographer was so good. When people can use neutral density filters really well, and what I mean by that is, like, if it's shot of the desert and the sand is really white but the sky remains really dark with really like white clouds, the way that you get that contrast is just not the way people go out into the desert and shoot. Like, you have to take a lot of care and craft and making those look really great cinematically. And I felt that this entire movie, like, if there had not had been subtitles and I could have just listened to music while watching this, I think I still would have had an ethereal experience with it. It was really, really good. I would only say this, that first, that if you love dogs, you'll love this movie. There's this is one of the best dog movies, like, in that sense.
Yes, yeah.
Of for cinephiles, because it's not all about that. Like, it has a lot of intelligent things to say about population control. Like,
the big theme of gentrification and how that affects a society, a town, a country, a family, small business, all that stuff. It was a very big commentary on that. And
political power structures.
Yeah.
Like, what does that mean? And certainly it means something different in 2024 than it did in 1924 and 1824 and 1724, and that these things change. And it was a very powerful movie. At the heart of it was the relationship with the dog.
Yeah.
But it had so much more than that, and it was beautiful. I thought that everybody just did such a fantastic job, and I've never seen this director's work before. Super keen to check out some more of his stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it's the kind of film that it tackles a few different subjects, of also redemption, of can this ex-con be reintegrated into society, but not even since society, but back into the small town in which everybody knows him. And can someone like that find redemption, and what does that look like?
Everybody knows him, so there's the shame, but there's also the family of the victim.
Correct.
And so he has to live in, there's all these dynamics that are rarely so beautifully explored. It was can't say enough about it. I've rolled with a 4.5, but now that I'm talking about it again, I'm likely to boost that up to a little 5.
Well, you've got a 5 on Letterboxd at the moment.
Oh, right on.
And I gave it a 5 as well. And that was the main thing, is I had to let this one simmer before. Like, I logged all the films on Letterboxd, but I really had to let all these simmer. But the emotions that the film gave me, the questions that I feel like it was asking me as a human and as a but I mean, as a pet owner or somebody who loves dogs, but also a person of society and has to deal with questions of redemption, maybe depending on where you're at in life, but also the questions on gentrification and all that sort of things. But the cinematography, the acting, it is the kind of film that you can, if you are someone who enjoys the cinema so much that you could put it on mute and listen to it with a record or any kind of soundtrack that you wanted to and let it move you, or you could choose to read the subtitles. But it's the kind of movie that is so well done that international foreign language films, why they get 5 stars from me, or why I beg people to watch them, is can they be done in a way that you forget they are not speaking the language in which you speak?
Kind of like Parasite, that was I think one of the strong reasons that it won that so many awards that year was because it did exactly that. Like the story was so engaging that you're like, oh, I have to know what happens like in the next 10 seconds. Like I don't need to know how this ends. I need to know what happens right now. And that's the power of a good director. Like I'm so impressed with this. Big old glad I already bumped it up to 5 stars. I remember at the night I had it 4.5, but I think over the next couple of days I was sort of rejigging some stuff around, based on this next film, number 3 that we saw.
I feel like we kind of also, to be able to get ratings up and numbers up, and like I will vote for something for people to just give it the time of day and watch it. Where I go,
I would say,
dude, is it worth 4.5 or 4 for me? No, it's worth 5 to get a general audience to be willing to watch this sort of stuff. For somebody, if you're interested in this kind of subject matter or cinematography.
That's the power of a 5-star rating, is that first off, it can reflect your exact personality. It can also represent a vote. Hey, I want you to I love it so much. I want you to go see it.
Correct.
I might only think that the craftsmanship of it total was 4.5, but the value of it is so high. I'm giving it a 5 because I want everyone to experience it and see it. I'm totally on board with that. Totally. 5 for sure.
5 for sure. Spend your time. We'll see what kind of release it's going to get. It's not going to be the kind that you're going to see in your local cinemas, but there's going to be an option where it's going to come to YouTube or another streaming service in which you could rent or buy. And I really like to see if it's going to get any sort of
that's
buzz.
What I mean. In a daggone good world, this is going to get nominated for some the foreign language Oscars.
Yeah.
I've not seen everything. There's not a lot of buzz around it.
Yeah.
But
the buzz is here right now.
It is daggone
in the
quality.
Film Dogs. We are promoting this for Oscar buzz.
If only we had the kind of influence that would get Mr. Who some recognition. I'd be all about it.
Yeah.
Our next film won't need any introduction. It's the festival darling of the year.
Yeah.
The Brutalist by
Brady Corbett. Or is it Corbet?
Corbet. If you're from Delaware.
If you're from
Delaware. Hey, thanks. I think we got some listens out of Delaware. We appreciate that.
Yeah. Or a lot of people use a proxy in Delaware.
Oh man, I bet they do.
Yeah. Oh, but why Delaware and not
because they
France?
don't have state tax in Delaware.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough.
It's a financial thing.
Brutalist. Adrian Brody, Felicity Jones, Guy Pearce, Joe Alwyn. Crazy film. I'll let you start.
Okay.
A lot of buzz around it.
A lot of buzz, and it was extremely well received following the Venice Film Festival.
215 minutes.
With an intermission, which was awesome, by the way.
Written in.
So my first Grand Slam home run to report off of The Brutalist was the inclusion of an intermission.
Yeah.
It was genius. A couple reasons, obviously, for the reasons that people can go use the bathroom or go get some concessions. The bad point is that our theater was unprepared for this intermission, and I was luckily the very first person in line. There was people that missed the first 10 minutes of the second part because they had waiting a lot. They were ill prepared. Shame on you for that. But the intermission, oh my goodness, it just made this 215-minute film. Honestly, for me, it made it feel like 115 minutes just to be able to stretch. Man, like, besides that, I really enjoyed the movie. And so I was super locked into it. The intermission really made it feel a lot less than 215 minutes.
It's a powerful film, and I hate using the word powerful because it's such a generic word.
Have you seen any of other Brady Corbett's movies?
Not really. I'm interested. Did you watch Vox Lux?
No, I put it on my watch list.
I was aware of it before. I have to rent it, and
I thought that maybe you might be interested because it's got Natalie Portman.
Yeah, correct. Which is why I thought maybe you had watched it before me, because I'm not anti Natalie Portman. I think she's amazing. But since we've been doing a lot of the pod and more films, you've been liking the Portman stuff before I was aware of some of the things that she was in.
Oh, like Leon the Professional.
Leon.
Yeah, Brady Corbett, I've never seen any of his work. Let me tell you.
This is a big standout film for someone who's only directed 7.
And I don't want to, again, particularly with this one, there's going to be a lot of Oscar buzz. I want to really avoid talking to anything that's not in the synopsis or sort of generally known, just sort of more of an overview. 5-star for me. Loved it. I think that particularly in the wake of the U.S. election results, that it, like for me, it feels like a shoo-in winner for the Academy Award. If it wasn't already a front runner, I think it's more relevant than ever now to the members of the voting academy. I think it really resonates sort of at where humanity is at the moment, which should give you an idea that it explores exactly what is desirable and not desirable about human traits. It's a deeply philosophical film. It is wonderfully acted. Adrian Brody, I think, from festival buzz, is a top 3 front runner for the best actor this year. Totally agree with that. I'd probably give Guy Pearce a good shot at the supporting nod there. It follows the story of Laszlo Toth, and it was just so realistic that it's like this must be a biopic. How can I love a biopic so much? I don't like them at all. And it was just so realistic. He's a Hungarian architect that has escaped the Holocaust and World War II and come to the United States
from Budapest.
Yep, and it's such an interesting look at power dynamics, and the acting in this film was incredible. I mean this is the most sincere flattery that it just reminded me so much of a PTA movie. But if looking at it, like whether it's the Phantom Thread with its sort of foreign non-American culture to it, to the set pieces, and like a particular part of American history that led to the American Empire, like There Will Be Blood, the relationship between 2 men and the power dynamics between them, like The Master. I think that this Brady Corbett really was studying at the altar of PTA. Like I just really felt this super strong PTA vibe, yet still had something very unique in itself. It wasn't a ripoff. I would say more of like just a very strong influence in the filmmaking, and it was done in VistaVision, of which I didn't know anything about before. But like the color grade of the film was just so astonishing to look at.
It's an unforgettable watch on the screen.
It's an epic. It is a masterpiece.
It's an immediate Americana classic.
It really is. I would it's going to be hard to sort of put that into a ranking of the year for various reasons. And I don't want to get into anything else about this film. I think we've said enough. It's about architecture, very super loosely based on some character inspiration from The Fountainhead, which is like in my top 3 books of all time. So it does have some elements of that, but it's not anything like Ayn Rand. It's nothing like that. But if you like architecture, this is a great movie. To
American
visit,
Gothic architecture, but also, I mean, in a post-World War II America, and just gigantic props to Brady Corbett on directing, writing, producing this film. And if you look at what he's done, we mentioned 7 directing, but this is really one of his main full cinema releases.
Yeah, but this is like, and I can't really speak to the other ones.
Yeah,
but like this is the work.
He's done mainly short films, and he's done a series, and then he did
with the Vox Lux.
Yeah, but the ability. I mean,
this is an American masterpiece. This is like what I think most people takes like serious directors. It takes them 10 films to get to this stage of making this.
I mean, the belief in him to be able to do this film and to make a film this long and to get the cast that
and you know what?
Did.
And I'll say this, that how it could be on multiple levels the antithesis of The Zone of Interest, but at the same time has so much things to say about the Holocaust in a super fresh and exciting way without being part of the Holocaust. But again, the cinematography,
yeah, for sure, World War II adjacent,
like the recovery. Like there's not too many films that start talking about the recovery or the impossible recovery, or like the question of is recovery possible by are you so anchored in the past? I mean, this is such a wonderful film. It is long. It is for any parents, you take your kids with you and feed them sleeping pills, or pay for a good babysitter. It's long.
You're going to have to feed them sleeping pills. Yeah, I wouldn't suggest taking your kids to this film because let's be honest, because we're not spoilers or anything like that. It's not a happy film. I can't remember any feelings of happiness in the film.
With that said, though, like that can be happy in itself. Is that for? I think we were talking about like sort of confirmation bias earlier.
Yeah.
And, sometimes that's what we want. But like, we want to know if we're hurting, we want to know that other people are out there hurting too. And if things are feeling bleak, or if you feel like you need to be a survivor, like there's just so many things that, or if you feel like you want to dive deep into the trauma of the Holocaust and as survivors, and you want to just sort of be sensitive to that pain, man, this, it's not in your face, but it's there if you want it.
Yeah.
Which is the work of a master. Like, he's not telling us to feel anything. He's giving us these wonderful scenes that we can determine for ourselves what the value of it is. Just a masterclass. Really, I absolutely loved it. And it'll be jock in for my number 1 of the year for sure.
Totally. Which brings us to film number 4.
Night Bitch.
Night Bitch. Marielle Heller.
Hey, I'll talk about this a little more. Had you ever seen anything?
Yes, which is very interesting because I have seen more by her.
Yeah,
she directed A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood, which is the
it blew me away.
Kind of like it's not a biopic, but the story of Mr. Rogers, but a true story from his history. And one of a comforting film for me. I looked up to Mr. Rogers, and I find that story interesting in Americana TV culture.
Now, back to the movie at hand, Night Bitch. Now, I don't know what led me to believe. Maybe it was the Halloween opening.
Yeah.
Maybe it was some descriptions in global media of it being a horror comedy.
Well, you should know. Don't believe the media.
Yeah, no doubt. Particularly exit polls. I was really surprised. This is not a very this is not a very scary movie at all. And I thought I thought I was going to see a horror movie.
Yeah.
I can see where there's some super, and I mean super light horror themes. Like this does not even it dabbles its toe, maybe even a extra long toenail in the waters of horror.
Yeah.
With that said, I was so pleasantly surprised. I really enjoyed it. I laughed a lot. And it was genuine laughing about things that I generally find miserable to even consider talking about. It is a family movie. And the Lord Marcus take on this.
Do you want to unpack that? What do you mean by a family movie? Because a family movie means you're going to take your kids to go see Finding Nemo.
That might be the Mr. B definition of a family movie. The Lord Marcus definition of a family movie is always PTSD. There's something bad going on. There's always an alcoholic involved.
Paxil.
There's always Paxil and Zoloft and ex-cons. And lots of crying and probably a lot of crutch drug use. That's my idea of a family movie, and suicide or two at best.
Yeah.
I say family movie because it was really, I think, an examination. All right.
Yeah.
What I mean by a family movie is a marriage story.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't take your kids to see that, but that is about that is a family movie.
Yeah, it's a movie about family dynamics for sure.
If I say family movie, I'm talking about the subject material, not whether or not you should take your family to do it. Then I'll say family friendly movie. Anyway, this movie is, I think about the pitfalls of parenting more than anything, and yeah, it really, I think, was a zeitgeist moment. It was of the time. It certainly was of 2024 for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, look, I got to say, Amy Adams was awesome.
Yeah, you main star.
Don't go for this if you want to see a horror movie. Like if you're into slasher films, this is not any kind of horror movie. But if you like a marriage story, you'll love this. Like, it's a dramedy. It is very funny, I thought. And I'm a hard person to please when it comes to comedy. I really thought this was exceptional writing. The screenplay was fantastic.
The screenplay was fantastic. The writing, like the edgy comedy and commentary on parenting, but becoming a first-time parent. So, let's get personal on the pod, because Mr. B, me, I am a father of two, and but my two are under the age of 5. So I am deep in parenting at the moment. And Lord Marcus, you are the father of one, except for the one, a fur baby.
Is a grizzly bear.
Is a grizzly bear. So the exploration of a mother or a father becoming a parent for the first time, and Amy Adams plays someone who was significant in her realm of industry. She was a painter and is now a stay-at-home mom, adjusting to life as being a stay-at-home mom where her husband travels and she's got a child at home. And it's always that worry of, am I losing myself? Am I losing who I am?
I'm going to tell you right now that you definitely are losing yourself. You know why I know this?
Yeah.
Is because you are starting to say mom like an Australian does.
You're welcome. Yeah, my mom even see, you corrected me though, because now I've said mom. My mom notices that that's what I call her these days is mom.
Mom's the word.
But it's a fantastic commentary that is it's currently listed mostly as a comedy, and I kind of agree with that.
I do too.
Because it's more of a satire comedy on what is it like to become a first-time parent? What do you have to deal with a spouse who you're both learning an adjustment to this small being who takes over your life? And will you lose yourself? Will you lose your identity? Will you lose your passion and other things that you used to love, that you used to be good at? Your job, do I give this all up for this other being to become the best? it asks all of those questions and does a great job behind it.
You know what I think? I think that it also, here's how I would describe it, as a very right-leaning towards the art house scene version of So This Is 40. Less of the less of the crash humor.
Well, yeah, they didn't have any edibles in this film.
Yeah, look at the things that it had. Like, it was a very serious. Like, you know, here's the thing that I thought it was just such a masterful directing swing, was that the comedy did not need to be crass at all.
No,
it was all sort of matter of fact. It was just done like the comedy was executed very well.
It puts you deep in the shit of being a parent, and I can say that as a parent of going, dude, I was getting PTSD of when my second child was born.
Yeah, so like, and this is what I mean. Like, so this is a subject that I rarely would. Had I known that this was what it was, I would never have booked it. I would have missed out.
Yeah.
So in that sense, like, I'm really glad that I saw it. But if I had known what it was, I would never have gone to see it, because that is not my brand at all. I'm here to say, like, they threw the old curveball on me. It was really good. I liked it so much. I laughed a lot. It was great. I recommend it. I definitely recommend it to parents. Not to take their children with them. Of course, they can if they want to. I'm not telling you what to do. Actually, I am. Leave your kids at home. Go see it and have date night. Go see this movie about the difficulties of parenting.
And don't hold it against your spouse in this film. But to be honest, like, I think it's so well written enough to where it gives you a bit of both sides, and maybe where both sides are coming from. Might not be your exact story, but you will all relate to it, whether you're a man watching this film, a father, or if you're a mother watching this film, and whether you're a new mother or a mother of multiple children. Yeah, it was very enjoyable, and I liked the satire moments of it, because the movie's called Night Bitch. Come on.
And it does, by the way, it does feature quite a bit of dogs, which I also elevated for me was the sort of the dog centricness of it. Yeah, I really enjoyed this movie a lot. I normally, if you told me what the synopsis was and even explained some of the scenes to me, and then it was like, there's no horror in it whatsoever, I'd be like, I would have given it a 1. Outside of Amy Adams, 1.5, because she deserves a half star just for herself.
She's probably worth a star for her role in this.
Oh my goodness, she was great. Oh,
mainly because, like, even if we look at, before we move on from this film, actors, how they embody their roles, like 100%, in the sense of giving themselves over to it, but also bodily.
Yeah.
Some actors go to the gym, some actors gain weight, some actors put on prosthetics and that sort of thing. Dude, she embodied a new mother for this film.
Like, I was totally immersed. Like, I can't say enough. Lord Marcus is a non-parent, and I'm not one of these people that has ever let kids win to teach them you earn a win with me. That's the way it is. I don't like cute little pictures. I don't want to see kids' first steps or tricycle ride or whatever. Yeah, whatever. I'd rather watch somebody throwing up. In this sense, in this movie, I was pleasantly surprised. It was very funny. It was like, sort of in the way that maybe if you get this analogy, then good on you. Most people won't. I'd compare it favorably to Jerry Maguire in the sense of having a kid and a child that sort of entertains you and draws you into a deeper dramatic element of the story. Yeah.
Yeah. Brings us to Good Lord Marcus. Film number 5. Inside by Charles Williams. And unfortunately, Lord Marcus, you were unable to make this screening.
I'm bummed.
Have you done any sort of trailers or research online or any other information about this film besides texts of me going, this is your film?
when you said that you predicted that I would give it 5 stars.
Yeah.
I went to a spoiler-free, and I'm not gonna. It's like a confidential informant.
Yeah.
I have a confidential informant.
Do you? What? This is news. Break it to me on
It's confidential.
You need to break it on the pod. It's
confident.
Okay. Yeah.
It's confidential. It's confident and it's confidential. I have a confidential informant. Now, I have a confidential informant.
Yeah.
And my confidential informant informed me that there was two words used, and I was like, "Yep." Kind of fits in with the theme of some things I've seen recently that disturb me greatly, and there also seems to be at least the potential for an outcome that I would find favorable in these circumstances. And that was where I gleamed that off of 2 words, and I could be a little off, but I feel like I'm kind of on with that, which means I definitely would love it. And I love Guy Pearce, and I'm quite upset. I think I know a little bit more than what the synopsis is, but not greatly more. Like, I don't know what the ultimate outcome is, but I think I know what one of the intentions of the film is, and whether it's successful intention or not. The fact that there is one gives me that's my shit. Boom. Yeah, I'm definitely going to catch it the first opportunity I can.
Well, because it's the kind of film. Because this is Charles Williams' first major release, Aussie film, independent, starring Guy Pearce, of course. We've already mentioned that. Cosmo Jarvis, who you might know him maybe more from TV, like Annihilation, Shogun, Lady Macbeth. And it is a brutal film. That really takes a look at the Australian prison system and maybe what does redemption maybe look like? What is sin? If you're uncomfortable with that word or comfortable with that word, can humanity find redemption depending on what they have done? And are there certain things that are off limits? But also from that, also the kind of the look, like I said, about the prison system and how things work. The main star is really actually Vincent Miller, who you won't really know. This is the first thing that he's really shown to be starred in, and he is the main character, playing a guy named Mel, who is put into prison for a heinous crime. We don't want to give things away because, like we said, this is a film festival and these are films that you hopefully get a chance to watch pre-release. Who meets Guy Pearce, who is an older gentleman in prison who is also in there for heinous crimes. And it is set up for kind of what happens in prison. Can a young man and an old man find redemption inside prison? The movie is called Inside. What's a snapshot of what it looks like inside? They also come across Cosmo Jarvis's character, Mark Shepard, is famously in prison for murder of the worst kind. I don't really want to give topics away in the film, but it portrays it well. But it shows of certain people trying to look for redemption, and can we redeem ourselves, and is there works that we can do to find redemption with families or with crimes we have committed, and can we be reintegrated into society successfully, or will we just be a part of the system? And dear God, was it a crazy watch.
I'm super stoked for it.
I was totally moved by it. It is brutal. There is 1 or 2 disturbing scenes in it, quite disturbing. And it broaches subjects that I think are important, because society, humanity, we have to ask ourselves these questions. You can't just bury your head in the sand. You and I are capable of great evil, but we are also capable of learning and also capable of great good. What does that look like? And that's kind of the movie.
I think sort of being a prison movie, there's probably aspects that you can come to expect from a prison movie.
Exactly.
In 2024.
Correct. Yeah. And especially a small indie film that can get away with showing more than you're not used to.
Yeah.
Which brings us to our final film number 6, Lord Marcus.
BIFF number 6. I saw the TV glow.
Did you see the TV glow?
Man, my TV glows. Now, we should preface. I have also not seen this, but I feel like I know enough about this because I know from the buzz and what the vibe of it was kind of a what I'm to understand is from my Letterboxd crowd.
Yeah, please tell me you've seen the director.
I don't think so.
No. Okay. You've not seen the director before?
I don't think so.
No. Okay.
No.
Yeah. First film as well. First major release.
Jane
Schönbrunn.
The first review I read of this when it came back out early in the year at a film festival was there's like, oh, if you love Twin Peaks, you'll love this.
Mm-hmm.
Now, here's the thing about that. Yeah, I'm the biggest Twin Peaks fan on this entire planet. It is very rare. Here's the thing, that people are starting to co-op Twin Peaks or David Lynch when something's a little weird. Like, that's because, like, certainly David Lynch is a little weird. But he has a very purposeful brand of weirdness that's very uniquely him. And just because something is weird doesn't mean that it's Lynchian or Twin Peaks-ish. There's many times that it's actually kind of on the mark. And there's sometimes this Lynchian terms being thrown around kind of abusively, like, oh, come watch my stuff. It'd be kind of like saying that hey, come watch our reels. It's like Yorgos Lanthimos directed it. Man, he's got a very particular style. It's also unusual and it's strange, but just because something is weird doesn't mean it's like automatically this word that's assigned to it. It has to be a little more deeper than that.
Mm.
And I've noticed, particularly in the last couple of years, like, oh, if you love Twin Peaks, you'll love this. And that's not necessarily true. That's sort of, I don't think it's true at all. Just because if you like something weird, you might like it just because of the sake of being weird, like the way that you would love a slasher. I love slasher movies, so I like if it has the word slasher in it, then I will love it. And you know that's just not true because there could be super good slasher movies and super bad slasher movies. Anyway, from my understanding, the initial reviews were that this was sort of if you love Twin Peaks, you would love this movie, and if you love Stranger Things, that you would love this movie. And I love Twin Peaks, and I liked the first season of Stranger Things that I watched. And I didn't like it enough to watch it past that. I enjoyed the experience of watching it, but it's just not my thing. And I really quite enjoyed that first season. It just wasn't enough to keep me interested and to give my time to further going down that rabbit hole. But what I'm to understand is it sort of has that Stranger Things vibe.
Yeah, yeah.
And great. I think I'm not as disappointed from all of these very young, possibly millennial Twin Peaks fans. I'm glad that there's the fans out there, and if it's getting people talking about Twin Peaks, then I'm for sure about it. I'm just so disappointed when I see something in the description from somebody that loves David Lynch, is like, oh, if you love David Lynch, you'll love this movie. And man, 9 times out of 10, when somebody says that, like recently, I'm like, man, this isn't anything like that. It's like it's a little weird, but it's not good weird. It's just like weird for the sake of being weird. And the thing about David Lynch is that he has an odd sense about him, but man, he's just one of the greatest storytellers of all time. And like, there's structure to his stories, and there's drama in his stories, and there's tension. And it's not just weird. It's just like a percentage of an ingredient that he has for his films. As like, if we just started going out randomly and tell people to say weird things and shoot them up full of drugs and say, just do weird things, man, that's not a David Lynch film. That's bullshit. But people are using that term these days to sort of describe that because that's what their interpretation of what one of his films is. I was like, he's just not taking the time to really dive into what his mastery of the craft is. So from my understanding, from what Mr. B texted me about this film, I'm happy to wait a little longer for it. I think it's a little, I'm happy to have, man, if like with anything, If I want Star Wars, guess what? I'll fucking watch Star Wars. If I want Twin Peaks, I'll just watch Twin Peaks. I appreciate when somebody does their own thing.
Yeah.
But to have to compare it to something else and like that's that grandiose, man, that's setting yourself up for a huge fall. So I kind of feel like I'm going to be disappointed, but maybe I won't be. I don't know.
I think I think it's a gateway drug for someone who's not watched David Lynch films or Twin Peaks.
Fair enough.
Or anything like that.
Then it's high value if it's a gateway.
Exactly. And that's where I think that's where it's worth something. So it stars Justice Smith, who you might know from, he's done some of the Jurassic World films.
I loved him in Voyeurs. Oh,
yeah, exactly. He did Dungeons and Dragons as well, which it wasn't a horrible film, but especially if you're somebody who plays the game. But outside of that, it's not a heavily stacked film. We've got Bridget Lundy Payne. You might know her from Bombshell or Downsizing. Done some TV stuff as well. But it is.
Who would you recommend it to?
It is it's a super millennial film, and that's not a negative or a positive thing. It is really aiming for people who are in high school or in their 20s.
Pardon the interruption, folks. It is now time for our survey. Better than or worse than Garden State. I Saw the TV Glow by Jane Schonbrun. Better than or worse than Garden State, according to Mr. B.
Oh, man. I might say it here. I think it is this current generation's Garden State. Is it better or worse than?
Equal to Garden State.
I think it's equal to Garden State if you are from 2024 and in a junior high school, or in your early 20s. But here's the reason why. A bit of the subject matter, a bit of the acting, and the soundtrack. The difference is that it really does remind me, in our text that I was talking about, it reminds me a lot of what we like about Stranger Things. And that is the mixture of the cinematography, the color grading that they chose for the film, but also kind of the intensity of music and color and those transitions. But it really unpacks the traumatic years that kind of people mostly do experience in some way in junior high or high school, of the coming of age tale of who am I, where am I, what's happening to me. My family may or may not be perfect. And what do I do with all this information and my body changing and my hormones and all this stuff? But it then also begs the question of how to respond to that. And a lot of people will either go inwards, and a lot of people will find escapism, whether it's through music or through film and television. And some of it is through relationship and through friends and a peer group. And it kind of unpacks that a bit. And I like that. It is for me, with my background, really put me back in some of the traumatic years that I experienced as a person. And it wasn't a negative, but I can see where the value is coming from, where this current generation, the young millennials or the people in high school right now, are really going to identify with a film of going, oh, I think this film sees me.
I think that is a very interesting lens with which to examine this. So I would like to test your theory.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be a hypothetical test, but I am more than happy to randomly call some people from various states.
Yeah.
And put your theory to the test.
Yeah.
We could do it like Saturday Night Live, where I pretend to be the person that picks up the call. But in this sense, what I'm going to say is, this is going to be a hypothetical.
Yeah.
Mr. B, Mr. Film Dog, man, dig your style. I have just voted in the presidential election.
Yeah.
And I'm from the great state of Texas.
Mm-hmm.
Would I like, I saw the TV glow?
You would not.
Now,
yeah.
Second question. Mr. B, Mr. Film Dog, what's up? I am a voter that just voted in the election.
Mm-hmm.
I'm from California. I'm from San Francisco.
Mm-hmm.
I'm 20 years old.
Mm-hmm.
Will I like, I saw the TV glow?
Yes.
Yes. You're correct. I think what you're saying hold weight. Yes. We're kind of just sort of dancing on this dangerous edge of saying that a particular generation will like things. And I think that more than ever, there's a generational divide, actually, that I think there's a strong audience for this film. I also think there is a strong audience for people to be bullied from a film like this.
Yeah. And here's why I think it's an interesting conversation and why it's included in the pod, and also why I ended up, this was the final film for us in the Film Dogs. We had a few options that day for me to book, and I specifically chose this film over some others because I'm married in my late 30s with 2 children under the age of 5. Is this a super applicable film for me? Well, on the outside looking in, a lot of people might say no. But, and even on religious or political and all these other affiliations, people might say, oh, did you like the film? You watched this film? I didn't think you'd watch it. For the creative value, for the content, for the questions it asks, I thought it has more value than a lot of the reviews I've read about it. And some of the reviews that are the hearted it or 1 star or 2 star, I do not agree with in any way. I ended up giving it 4 stars myself because I do find a value of, regardless of necessarily the generation, it will connect with people who don't necessarily feel like they always fit in the world.
Pardon the interruption, folks. We've just had an emergency response system activated by the new totalitarian government of Oceania 815. There's a broadcast being published at the moment by this notorious outfit called the Film Dogs, where some sort of bozo the clown podcaster named Mr. B has given a 4-star rating to I Saw the TV Glow.
Yeah.
Where just moments ago, he said was an equal movie to Garden State.
I live in a world where both are of value.
We are on lockdown until this gets settled. End of transmission. And as I totally agree about the blue-red divide of what a film like this might mean.
Yeah.
Very liberal.
Yeah, and here's where you need to be a person. If you're listening, you need to be a person who is willing to listen or watch something that may not fully agree with your worldview, because you cannot live in an echo chamber. Also, you may find some beautiful things. You may be asked some questions that make you feel uncomfortable, but actually make you become a better person because you chose to watch, listen, or question them.
Hold on. What if the echo chamber, like the only thing that anybody ever said was, I love you?
That is not in any world that I think anybody lives in.
But it'd be okay if that was the case, right?
I mean, we wouldn't even have this podcast if everybody said,
there was an echo chamber. If everybody had an I love you echo chamber,
yeah,
I think it would lose some, like, love would lose value.
Exactly.
Goodness, it'd get watered down. Let's deprive everybody of it and increase its value.
Stock in I love you just went up 1,000%. Elon Musk.
We are going public with love.
But for me, I saw the TV Glow. It was a value to me.
Right on.
It's not going to fit everybody's bill. No, it's not. Is it a full horror film? Not necessarily. Is it a full David Lynch film? Maybe not. do I see the major influence on a generation that isn't necessarily growing up watching Lynch films, but is aware of his name or interested? Yeah.
Hey, if it introduces people to David Lynch, then there is nothing bad about it at all, because that is going to automatically, in my opinion, better anyone's taste as a starter.
Does it lose half a star because Phoebe Bridgers is in it?
Oh my God. It definitely, I'm not going to watch it.
I didn't want to tell you that she's in it. And she's
she's
performing music, and it's a song I haven't heard before, and I need to look up the song.
I will not watch it. I won't. Thanks for letting me know.
I'm editing the pod, and we're cutting it from right here because currently you're going to watch it.
I would.
And also, I'm only saying that is because you would have no idea that it's her or that it's her song. And here's why you're going to watch it. Because Fred Durst is in it, you jackass.
Oh, God. I will watch it.
You're welcome. This pod has been saved and sponsored by
Fred Durst.
Fred Durst.
I was a big Limp Bizkit fan.
Yeah, of course.
For the first album, and then the second album came out, and they sort of did their first album. I don't care what anybody says; it's really good. It is an example, like it's the perfect 1997 sort of where heavy metal was at the time. But man, I'm telling you, Limp Bizkit's first record was fucking awesome. It was really, really good. And then it got famous, and they sort of became a satirical exaggeration of their own selves, and it was horrible. But their first record, god damn, it was really good. Powerhouse.
Kind of like I Saw the TV Glow, but maybe not as much of a powerhouse
what'd you think
as
about
other films.
What'd you think about BIFF 2024? Did you want to see more movies? Did you want to see less movies?
Yeah, I mean, there was an option for one or two other films that were on the list that I did want to see.
Any you'd like to shout out?
Well,
I wanted to see Anora, and I wanted to see All We Imagine Is Light. And it just worked out to not coincide to see either one of those. Fortunately, Anora is going to be opening wide in Australia at Christmas.
Yeah.
And as I've seen on flicks.com.au, All We Imagine Is Light will also get a bit of a sort of a Palace Barracks art house release.
Yeah, those were two I was interested in.
So I'll be able to get to see those two, and those were the. I guess I was kind of interested in Amelia Perez, but man, I can be so disappointed by a musical because I hold musicals in high regard. The music has to be good, the acting has to be musically good, and often people praise it, and I don't understand. It's like, man, this is rubbish. So I'm kind of fearful that this is one of those scenes like we're just so happy to have a musical. Now, like La La Land is not one of those examples. That was one of the most badass movies of all time. Like I love a good musical, but let's take something from a little earlier. I don't want to trash talk anything, but sometimes they're popular and they make a lot of money, and they're just not really artistic or for cinephiles. They might be for average moviegoers, popcorn crowd, which is great. And I'm not disrespecting that value for those people at all. But I'm speaking to a particular type of crowd. I'm concerned about Amelia Perez. I just don't want to be super let down by something that seems like it has a very intriguing idea. But Anora and All We Imagine Is Light are the only super kind of big ones that I definitely wanted to see, and then there were some Iranian ones, but they're going to be released around December as well. So.
I did want to check out Daddy-O, which was Christy Hall's film starring Sean Penn and Dakota Johnson. There was an Aussie independent film, Flathead, that I was interested in by Jaden Martin. I did actually want to see Sasquatch Sunset, which David Zellner and Nathan Zellner's film, which is
that doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, a bit of a comedy starring Jesse Eisenberg. I've heard about it, and it didn't fit in the schedule for us to be able to watch. And then
I'm sitting here shit talking it. I probably would actually really like it.
Yeah, correct. But I mean, To be honest, it was a pretty good year. To be honest, we just couldn't fit them all in because one of the Iranian films we wanted to check out was The Seed of the Sacred Fig by
I will be seeing that on January 1st or 2nd, whatever day that's getting released.
And that was a long film, and the reason I wasn't able to watch it was kind of the schedule for me to be able to see Inside, and I saw the TV Glow, which were on the same day. And it's not a short film; it's a quite long film. And I did kind of want to check out The Piano Lesson, and there was one final one if I can find it.
Man, and interesting, like not turn this into a 5-hour episode. You know what my sort of fear about that Piano Lesson movie is the Netflixification of the musical biopic.
Yeah.
And it's just, I feel like it's, I don't know, when I see movies that sort of tackle that subject matter that is sort of examining minority drama with a sort of a musical context, is that it's this slick cinematography.
Yeah.
And man, what really sort of drives home some of these other films that we've been talking about, it's slick cinematography by people that are passionate about photography and cinematography, not because they've got the highest end equipment.
Yeah.
Man, I really feel like some of these stories are serviced better. Like, man, give them like this 1970s, been beat up, it's been dragged behind a goddamn warplane and shit on and is barely functioning, and shoot a movie on that. And that's the movie that I want to see. Man, not the fresh thing, like the Sony 50,000 million Millennium X that shoots in Ultra 10 HD.
Yeah.
Man, like that's what some of these films feel like these days. And I think some of what we've been talking about is that somebody that's passionate about their craft that they're making, and they've got the right relationships with a cinematographer that knows their vision and shares that vision. You accomplish so much more than fancy technical equipment and what looks good on a nice, good HD TV. I love those things, but I appreciate a good story and passion more than any of those things. So The Piano Lesson, just for me, like as a piano player, as a musician, like I was really excited about it, and the cast. Something screamed out to me. It was like, oh, like Ma Rainey's Black Bottom. I was like, man, I was so excited for it, and it was just so, man, it was like Kool-Aid. Oh, there was nothing tough about it. There was nothing really vibrant or alive about it, even in the sense of, man, I don't necessarily want it to be a brutal movie. It should be what it is, but it did not. It felt realistic to a sense, but it felt very optimistic, and we need to keep people happy rather than representing what actually 1920s might have been like in that situation, or 30s or 40s or 50s, like any of these eras where artists are being exploited, particularly artists of color. It just felt really like safe. And The Piano Lesson on this side of the fence feels like it's going to be a safe movie, and I've not heard anything to suggest otherwise. And I really I like uncomfortable movies. So,
well, I mean, final film I did want to check out was The Dead Don't Hurt, which was Viggo Mortensen's as director but star, and that was a Western drama.
Who's he been in?
Are you serious?
What movies has Viggo Mortensen been in?
History of Violence. And also Aragorn from Lord of the Rings, soft-spoken, yeah. And also The Road.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you have a favorite film from this festival as we close out our BIFF 2024 episode? If you could only see one.
I unfortunately, for Black Dog, have to go with The Brutalist. It was... I think it's a sign of making that choice today. Specifically, The Brutalist feels more long-lasting, reflective. Although the Black Dog, oh my goodness, Black Dog talks about many of the same exact things, but I think there was a little bit more high contrast drama in The Brutalist. I think it had more things to say. I think the cinematography was slightly better, although they were both like the Black Dog was super good. I was like, honorable mention for the silver medal goes to Black Dog, gold medal for The Brutalist. For me, for
yeah, I'm kind of almost agree. It is definitely The Brutalist out of the list. And it's almost like a close tie for Black Dog and Inside because they are very far away films from each other. Except for, I guess, Black Dog and Inside both deal with kind of the redemption and prison aspect of it. Although Inside is the way more brutal, if I can use that word again, of films out of Black Dog and Inside. And to be honest, visually more brutal than The Brutalist. But those would kind of be the three that I really think are really worth highlighting for people of checking out what's maybe worth your time on acting, cinematography, screenplay, story writing, throwing a movie on mute and getting lost in just what is on screen.
Well, that's the thing about when you have to rate something like that, like sort of on the spot. Like there's days where I definitely would go with Black Dog because it is that type of film that you could just throw on in the background and then put on like a nice Sigur Rós record or Godspeed You Black Emperor. And
hell yeah.
It would just super fit perfectly. And then there's times where you want something just a little bit different and you want to be disturbed a little and you want to have sort of more philosophical meaning like a Tarkovsky film or PTA film. And The Brutalist fits that. I just think like overall, kind of like the way the zone of interest, I think The Brutalist has a lot to say about contemporary humanity in a way that is super relevant, extraordinarily relevant, and bang for your buck. I mean, you're getting 215 minutes that feels like 115 minutes with an intermission. Goodness, with some great acting. Adrian Brody's fantastic, and man, if you've never checked out his Instagram page, man, that kid is wildly cool and chill. And he makes you smile, and man, I love Adrian Brody so much. I've always been a big fan of Mr. Brody, but man, he deserved that Oscar that he got just for how he plays Chopin on the piano. So good, my goodness.
Well, Lord Marcus, it's good to be back. It's good to open up season 2 of the Film Dogs. Season 1 could kind of be the official start of the Film Dogs when we opened up BIFF 2023. And I think I'm going to try and go back and I have it, but edit together audio that we do have from 2023 and talking about the festival from last year as almost like a B-side episode. But BIFF 2024, we found some great films. Nothing was really listed below even 3.5 stars. They were all 4.5, 5-star films for us, and really going to add to our list of some of maybe the best films we've seen of the year.
Hey, our next episode, we're going to be drafting
away.
And in season 2 of Film Dogs, the film draft is evolving.
It is.
Sneak peek. The draft, our next episode draft, is kind of semi in honor, kind of Mr. B's birthday party. Birthday party year is of 1988. We are going to combine everything that's 1987 and before into one large category, and we're going to call it the pre-1988 draft, where any film that was made before 1988 is eligible for the draft. And our first version of this draft is going to be 2 rounds where we have to complete the complete transaction of the 7 categories and then immediately go into a second round. And it's going to be super exciting. One of our other drafts we're going to do this year, instead of focusing on 1 year, we're going to combine years.
Yeah.
And we will probably do, hopefully, a couple of the 1988 drafts. But now, in the spirit of brotherhood and camaraderie and in the celebration of Mr. B's birthday, I want to offer Mr. B the opportunity to acquire one film onto his team, non-draft, and it can be any film
yeah.
that has been released in the 21st century.
Oh, wait, any film.
Any film, but it has to be one you really, really, really want. But we're giving him the opportunity to acquire a film. Oh, he's going straight to the computer. He doesn't even know which one he wants.
Well, I have to go kind of by definitions. Well, the 21st century includes.
I know what
2001.
I am very
2001
until 2024 November.
Well, it says it will end on December 31st, 2100, according to Google.
Okay, well, you can pick a movie from the future if you want.
Yeah, but you're saying from 2001, though? Is that what you're saying?
2001.
Yeah.
Yeah.
God.
From 2001 until today.
Yeah.
You can pick any film you want. A freebie for your team.
Yeah.
The free agent acquisition. Doesn't matter if it's a film that a year that we've drafted. But I would say this for entertainment purposes. If it's a year that we've not drafted, then that episode's not going to be quite as good. It could be you could grab a film that is so personable that it gives you a chance to get a freebie, like a Kirk Cameron's Christmas special movie that you would never waste a draft pick on, or you could go for a heavy hitter that you don't have to worry about getting the first pick.
I mean, I could just
you could
you could
happy birthday.
Happy birthday to me. Do I just take Tar?
It could be any movie.
Yeah.
Between 2001.
You put me on the spot, man.
Happy birthday.
Yeah. I mean, there's two options here,
dude. There's there's so many more than two options
because it's always by heart. Remember, we've always talked about this. Whole podcast is about heart. So it's going to be between Tar and Elizabethtown.
I say because I was going to say if I was you, I would take Elizabethtown because then you don't have to have to waste a draft pick on it. You get
exactly
a very personable. Film
it's going to be Elizabethtown.
Right on.
Yeah,
good pick.
Yeah, because I'm trying to think about if we've actually. I'm trying to rewind in live if we've talked about it on this podcast before.
Only on our World War 37 episode where I threatened to take it first.
Yeah. No, it'll be Elizabethtown, but we'll maybe save some time talking about the film.
Yeah, right on.
Cameron Crowe's.
But it's an automatic Mr. B film.
It's definitely in there from, I think it came out, because this is all live talk. Yeah, I was going to say 2005. If I was wrong, I was thinking maybe it came out in 2004 and I watched it in 2005. But
now what's going to be interesting about this is that it automatically makes the number one pick in 2005 much more enthusiastic and intense.
Correct. Yeah.
Because there would have been the fear, whether realistic or not, that I would have taken Elizabethtown with my first pick.
I wondered if you were aware of its worth to me.
Oh, absolutely. And I would have threatened to take it just so that I could get my actual number one from 2005.
Interesting. Yeah. Interesting. Yeah. Classic for me, Orlando Bloom, Kirsten Dunst, Susan Sarandon, Alec Baldwin.
Hey, man, look, I really liked it a lot.
Jessica
and Cameron Crowe, love him to death.
Soundtrack.
The soundtrack was super good.
It's one of the reasons I love Ryan Adams.
I was already into Ryan at that point, but I really liked
Me too. I wasn't fully aware, though.
I liked the quirky romance portion of it, and particularly how it ended, and that sort of everything that was on the map, and it was very romantic, and it was very I was very kind of the Kirsten Dunst character at a point in my life.
Interesting.
I really, I was. I liked it a lot.
Maybe that's why the pod works, because I feel like I've always I've connected more with the Orlando Bloom character as a person.
Well, I agree, because I think that I'm
wild and free.
Wild and free. And I like maps and drawing on them.
Fantastic episode. It's good to be back. Season 2. Episode 1, BIFF, Brisbane International Film Festival 2024. Thankful to the team.
Brought to you by Charlie Horse Transparent Vapor for your cramping needs.
Cramping away, as well as absinthe in a Ben & Jerry's mug.
And transparent aluminum.
And peppermint tea
from
out of a Acadia National Park mug.
And Cameron Crowe.
And Cameron Crowe.
And Garden State.
This is Mr. B signing out.
This is Lord B. Marcus saying, what's up? Peace out.
Well, remember, life is too short for bad cinema. Woof.